While the Tanglong is similar to the Gans 356, there's definitely some big differences that set them apart. The first difference is that the Tanglong seems to be of higher quality plastic in my opinion. It's very solid and doesn't feel cheap at all. Not that the Gans really felt cheap, but this just feels a whole lot more sturdy. The second is that it's a lot more stable than the Gans. I always felt like the Gans had a lot of catching and lockup issues, and now granted I haven't tried the Gans with the new caps, which supposedly fixes a lot of the issues, but currently the Tanglong is a whole lot more stable for me. And the Tanglong does have a few occasional lockups, but for my turning style they were heavily reduced compared to the Gans. And the final difference is that the Tanglong is quite a bit slower compared to the Gans. Some have said that MoYu lube instantly makes the Tanglong faster, but I've personally loved the speed of my Tanglong and haven't wanted to change it. I've lubed mine with weight 5 on the core and Cubes4speed on the pieces. It's the perfect speed for me and is incredibly smooth, not scratchy at all. The design is really a mix of several cubes. The corners are very much like the Gans 356. They use that very sharp tip to reduce the corner twists, which by the way does a really good job at preventing corner twists. I have had only one on the couple hundred solves that I've done on this cube, so it's really nice to know that this doesn't corner twist at all. And the edges remind me of a Kong's type cube. They both have those indents in the edges to reduce friction, although on the Tanglong I found that this doesn't seem to do much. There still seems to be a lot of friction between the pieces. While this cube does have very respectable corner cutting, it's certainly not the best out there. I found that this cube performs much better on tighter tensions. Originally they were pretty loose, and out of the box I had a lot of catching and lockups, but after tightening down the tensions, the cube feels much better. With a similar design to the Gans, you can probably imagine that this cube doesn't pop, which is very typical of cubes today, but still worth mentioning. Even when you try and force it, you know it's not going to pop. I'm going to quickly go over how I set up my Tanglong. Out of the box, I did 200 solves and then went to lube it. Since it's a slower cube, I figured a heavier lube really wouldn't work very well in it, so I did weight 5 on the core and Cubes4speed on the pieces. After breaking the lube in, the cube is plenty fast and still very controllable. It's also incredibly smooth feeling. One thing that's worth mentioning is that I did try Kennan's Tanglong, and when he got it, he put weight 4 on the pieces. I imagine he put a very small amount on it, but his was faster than mine is, and his has a heavier lube on the pieces than mine does. So if you only have a heavier lube, don't be afraid to put it on there. Just make sure you use a very small amount. Before starting my conclusion, I just want you guys to know that this is a sponsored review by Cubes4speed. They were nice enough to send me the cube out to review for you guys, so big thanks to them for sending it out. I think MoYu did a fantastic job with this 3x3. I'm glad to see them making a 3x3 that's a bit slower and heavier than normal. The trend these days seems to just make cubes as light as possible and make them super fast. And that's something that's never really worked for my turning style. I've liked heavier cubes that you can really kind of feel the turns when you make them, and that's something that the Tanglong really provides for me. Right now my main is between this and the Thunderclap. Both are fantastic, and I'll probably switch between the two depending on my mood. If you liked the Gans, this is definitely worth checking out. It's a slightly slower and more stabilized version of the Gans 356, and I myself would definitely pick this cube up. I'm really liking it. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you later.